All right, so I am born and raised here in Fort Collins, Colorado, but I continuously hear how much people who have moved here, relocated here, or maybe not have been here their entire lives absolutely love Fort Collins and Northern Colorado. So today we're going to talk to you guys about 5 things that are well known and then 5 things that maybe are just a little bit behind the scenes as far as the best things about Fort Collins, Colorado. My name is Patrick Soukup, and this is the Living in Fort Collins YouTube channel where you come to learn everything there is to know about Fort Collins. Eating, sleeping, playing, working, and the best things about the city. Now, it's unfortunate because probably the most clickable titles are negative headlines, but for those that like to live in the optimistic world, today we're talking about the best things about Fort Collins, Colorado. Now, if you're considering moving or relocating to the area, give my team a call, text, or email. Or if you're watching this on TV, there's going to be a QR code that you can scan. Hopefully make that a little bit easier. Now, if you're considering buying, selling, or investing in the area, again, my team and I are licensed real estate agents in the state of Colorado and would love to be an asset on your team. But without any further delay, let's jump into today's video, the best things about Fort Collins, Colorado. Let's go. So like I said, we're gonna break this up into 2 sections, 5 well-known best things and 5 kind of under the radar best things that I think are pretty phenomenal about the area. But number 1, it's a clean and safe area. One thing that I continually hear about the city of Fort Collins, specifically when they're just going over their budget cycle is, hey, one thing that we wanna make sure is our 24/7, 365 services, AKA power washing downtown, keeping the medians clean, the trash and rubbish, street sweepers. This town, generally speaking, is absolutely impeccable. It is always clean, always well kept, very safe. Now, of course, there's gonna be crime and there are unfortunate stories that happen, here and there in Fort Collins. But there was a time about a year or 2 ago, and then actually just a couple months ago, where there was a shooting in Fort Collins, and unfortunately someone did die. And right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't know if this is the right mentality or not, but it was big news. It was a headline news. And my take on that was, well, I kind of think it's a good thing that it's headline news. It means that it doesn't happen often. And ultimately, it's important for us to know that, it's dangerous out there and to still stay, aware and know your surroundings. And even though Fort Collins is an extremely safe place, there are still times that it can be dangerous. So I thought that it was actually a pretty good thing that it was front page headline news, because it's not like, hey, this is just another Tuesday where somebody got shot and died. So that being said, clean and safe, number 1 best thing about Fort Collins. Number 2, and this is again probably why the majority of people relocate here, is lifestyle and specifically nature. I grew up with always knowing that the mountains to my left or right, depending on which way I was going, is west. So I had a directional compass in my back pocket. I've always taken it for granted. I grew up going to Steamboat. I tubed down the Pooter throughout high school. I went fishing on the Pooter and up at different lakes in Walden and different areas. So I always thought that this was just normal. But the reality is it's not. We actually had some clients that came here from Boston, and I remember them looking through the trees and kind of between 2 fence posts, and they said, oh, look, we can see the mountains. And I just forgot, that's something real. And that being said, worst case scenario in Fort Collins specifically. Now, if you're in Windsor or Timnath or Severance, it might add another 15 to 25 minutes to your commute into nature. But for me, I can jump on my bike and I'm on the southeast side of town, and within 15 to 25 minutes, depending on how quick I'm pedaling, I can get to the foothills and on our dam's kind of bike trail. It's not really a trail, but bike path. And I'm in there. I'm at Laurie State Park, Arthur's Rock, I'm at Hughes Stadium, or what was Hughes Stadium, but I can get to the west side on our 45 plus miles of paved trails in Fort Collins, and it is just great. Access to nature is probably one of the most important things that people like having in their backyard here in Fort Collins, Colorado. Old Town Fort Collins. Now, this is the gem of Fort Collins. Like I've talked about in many videos, it does have some inspiration for Disneyland's Main Street. It is pretty magical. And I was fortunate enough to work for Old Town Square Properties for about a decade and actually ran Old Town Square for about 6 years. So again, I took it for granted a little bit because I was down there every single day for 6 years. Well, about 10 years, except for 10 minus 2 because I was on site for an apartment complex for 2 years. So 8 years I was downtown operating, running Old Town Square, and it is gorgeous. You know, during that time they did a renovation of the square. They moved the theater stage back. They opened it up. They finished Linden Street, so it's kind of a walk and drive friendly street. They shut it down for festivals. Businesses are pouring investments in there. You've got the River District that's really starting to be developing on the north side of Jefferson, the Exchange, and other developments, and people really just pouring into the Old Town atmosphere, development. It is still vibrant, it's rich. You've got flowers year round. City of Fort Collins pays God knows how much money. I want to say it's hundreds of thousands of dollars just for flowers. You got holiday lights from November to February 14th. Old Town Fort Collins is absolutely the gem, the star of the show in Fort Collins as far as one of the best things. And you can't talk about Fort Collins without talking about microbreweries and the godfather of them all, you know, the granddaddy of them all, whatever you want to call it. Gender neutral, I don't know. What would that be? The ultra star of them all? I don't know. We'll go with granddaddy of them all for now, but is New Belgium, and they got their roots here. I remember when I was up at my grandparents' house up Risk Canyon, and my Uncle Todd brought in a 6-pack of New Belgium. I believe it was Fat Tires. I think that was kind of their flagship beer. I was too young at the time to drink, but it was kind of like this, hey, you gotta try this, you know, this new beer, it's exciting. And now they are, you know, all across all 50 states. You can go to pretty much any bar and find a New Belgium beer there. And then from there you got Odell's, Zwei, you've got kind of the OG in Old Town of Coopersmith's. But there are breweries galore here in Fort Collins, and a lot of them are kind of under the radar. You got Mythmaker, you've got Max Line Brewery that just won the 64 bracket contest for best beer in Fort Collins. I think it's their red. And so overall, it is a developed scene because we've been in that industry for a long time. And I think there are some great breweries here in Fort Collins. I'm actually not a huge beer drinker, but I will absolutely go to a brewery with somebody and sit down there for an hour, 2 hours, you know, chop it up a little bit, have a couple of beers, and really enjoy myself. The one thing to be careful of with microbreweries, from my perspective, is you just got to be careful because some of those things are potent. Some of those things are powerful. And you could have 1, 2, or 3 beers and not even think about it and stand up, be like, whoa, okay, maybe I should walk next door to Music City Hot Chicken from Verboten now and have myself a little snack before I go anywhere, let this thing kind of calm down. But breweries in Fort Collins are absolutely one of the best things. And number 5, great schools, a great school system, and also secondary and university schools here in Fort Collins. Fort Collins absolutely has a backbone with Colorado State University. So we absolutely have a phenomenal university, a tier 1 research institution, 35,000 students. And then from there, you know, we've got Front Range Community College that offers very affordable programs to get your associate's degree for those that are here locally, and other opportunities with Ames Community College and CU down the road, Denver University. So Colorado in general has some phenomenal universities, but CSU is the backbone of Fort Collins. And from there, for younger families like myself, just getting involved with the Poudre School District, I'm very excited about it. I think they've done a great job. We've had clients, actually just the other day, we talked with one from Oregon, and they said, you know, our daughter was having a hard time with reading, and there was a program that they got put into. And I was like, yeah, my daughter got put in that same thing. She's like, yeah, that didn't happen in Oregon. And so I take, again, for granted, some of these things that the Poudre School District specifically has done a great job on and is very safe, secure, great communication, probably too much communication, but better than a lack of communication. So we're excited about Poudre School District now until 12th grade, and then potentially going to Front Range Community College and then CSU possibly, depending on what our kids want to do. We want to support them however they go, but we're fortunate that we have a great school district in the Poudre School District, and then also a great university in Colorado State University that's doing some awesome things here. So those are the 5 well-known best things about Fort Collins. Now, what about some kind of 5 maybe lesser known things? All right, number 1 is the gardens at Spring Creek. I think this is something that really doesn't get as much attention as it should. One, there is a butterfly pavilion there. It's pretty small, but it's still fun, to take the kids and go see the butterflies and, see the cocoons and different things and their environment. But also there's different opportunities for throughout the year. With Halloween's, there's a pumpkins on parade, and then at Christmas, there's Christmas lights there. And last year they had 8 shows on this wonderful venue. And they are actually talking through city council right now about noise ordinances, because they actually can't have some of these concerts because there's some surrounding neighborhoods, and they're suggesting that, hey, maybe we should not restrict as many, because this is a phenomenal venue that we only had 8 concerts at last year. Like, there should be 18 or 28 concerts versus only 8. So the gardens at Spring Creek are awesome to go to. You can get an annual membership, and if you're at Poudre School District, it's discounted, but you can get an annual membership at the gardens at Spring Creek. You can take your bike there, you can ride along the Spring Creek Trail and connect with that and get off and go enjoy yourself and just walk around for a little bit. It's great, it's beautiful. Not a lot of tree coverage for right now. There's still a lot of younger trees, but ultimately it's a great facility here in Fort Collins. Number 2, nearly 1,000 acres of community and neighborhood parks and over 55,000 acres of natural area in Fort Collins. We have a huge importance around parks and our natural areas. In fact, one of our podcasts, we had Councilmember Kelly Olson on, and he was discussing how it wasn't like that always. About in the 1980s and 1990s, there were projects that he was pushing forward to protect natural areas that were getting shot down. And there was conversations about like how this could restrict different things, development, but it was a huge, huge concern of his and kind of his passion project of life. And so if you haven't, you can go listen to that podcast. It's awesome. But Kelly Olson talks a lot about our natural areas. And then our 1,000 acres of community parks and neighborhood parks. Community parks, are the big, large parks here, like Twin Silos Park, Fossil Creek Park, Spring Canyon Park, where my kids are playing flag football each Saturday right now, which is huge. And then you've got little neighborhood parks like Fossil Creek Park, amongst others like the Landings. But combined, you have about 1,000 acres in Fort Collins of parks, which is pretty darn cool. Number 3, art in public places. We have hundreds of installations. Now I say hundreds because I'm including our electrical boxes that are painted. We have over 400 electrical boxes painted throughout Fort Collins, with our different murals, and it's really just kind of cool because otherwise they would just be this green standalone box. And I think there are many things that make Fort Collins amazing and great, but some of these just kind of get forgotten. Like I said, the cleanliness that you just take for granted, and then you don't realize the skyline and not having the telephone lines and the power lines going across, because in the I believe it was 60s and 70s, we began undergrounding all of our development for utilities, and essentially all of Fort Collins utilities are underground at this point. So just drive through Loveland and then drive through Fort Collins and you'll be able to see that. And then you've got I think it's over 40 different art installations in public that are just beautiful pieces. And right now there's actually a park that's being built over near Bacon, and there's gonna be an art installation there. It costs about $40,000, $50,000, so it's not cheap. And it's something to where along the Mail Creek Trail, you're gonna see these 4 pieces, I believe it's 4 pieces of art that just kind of, again, tie everything together. It's a very big culture and vibe type of scene that doesn't make sense individually, but when you put them all together, like our alleyways downtown and our murals on our buildings and our ghost billboards on buildings that are preserved. I remember working with Old Town Square, and we have an old Coke sign, and my mentor, Ed, between downtown, city of Fort Collins, it was a very expensive project to restore the old Coke bottle that is there right on Cooper Smith's. So it's with big intentionality that citizens of Fort Collins want to keep and maintain our history, keep it vibrant, culturally exciting here at Fort Collins. So art in public places. Number 4, an underappreciated comedy club and a music scene that punches way above its weight. I'll start with the comedy club, which is very intimate. It's called the Comedy Fort, and there are some great little scenes or great little acts that come through there. There's actually big acts too that come through there, test their shows and see if it's gonna be a hit. But it's very quaint. I would have to say about 50 or so people can fit in there. You can have drinks. You can actually, I believe, smoke marijuana. Not my thing, but I'm not judging anybody who does. But it is a really cool scene, a lot of fun, lots of different opportunities for like half off, free nights, and so sign up for their mailer list if you're interested in that. And then our music scene that punches way above its weight. And I will give, as I have in the past, a lot of credit to the Bohemian Foundation, Pat Stryker, who has taken projects like The Armory and Washington's and turned them into world-class venues. Of course, you've got the Aggie, you've got actually Mishawaka, which is just absolutely wonderful. It's not in Fort Collins, but it's Fort Collins adjacent, about 40 minutes up the Poudre Trail or Poudre Canyon. And other than that, you've got the Music District that is supporting local artists. We had on our show the director of KRFC, which really pumps local artists here in Fort Collins. So it's, again, a big culture thing here in town and a big importance to the Bohemian Foundation, which pour into the music and art scene here in Fort Collins. So number 4, an underappreciated comedy scene and a music scene that punches way above its weight. And number 5, we have got some phenomenal amenities here in Fort Collins. We don't have the professional sports teams or, huge theaters that are gonna draw the biggest acts like at Ball Arena downtown or Denver, Mile High Stadium is what I would call it. I don't know what it's called now. I can't think of the name. But we do have some great amenities like the Whitewater Park, which was about $11 to $12 million to build out, where people can go swim, play on the beach, get in the water, do some kayaking, kind of surfing, things of that nature, where it is a great hangout spot that is very walkable, kind of along, like I talked about a little bit earlier, that river district. And then on top of that, we have some great rec centers, and one being built that's gonna be about an $80 to $100 million rec center on the southeast side of Fort Collins. But we already have the senior center, which is awesome, as well as the north side Aslan Center, which has been redeveloped, refurbished. I mean, when I grew up there, it was okay. It was not bad. It was a little rough, but now it's a beautiful facility. Lots of different opportunities again, right there downtown, really close to the Whitewater Park. And then you've got the Lincoln Center, you've got Epic, you've got Mulberry, you've got a lot of different city amenities that come at a very affordable price for you to go visit, enjoy, and there's lots of activities, swim teams, lots of different recreational programs that I've gotten my family involved with that are very affordable because the city of Fort Collins is the ones that are putting them on. So there it is. You've got 5 well-known best things and 5 a little bit under the radar best things from my perspective. Now, if you're considering moving to Fort Collins, give my team and I a call, text, or email, or scan the QR code and set up an appointment with us directly there. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, take care.